Hey guys, Steve Trowbridge here. I'm back with episode 7, the review for episode 7 of season 2 of Shadowhunters. I really enjoyed this episode. I would argue this was probably, just in my opinion, the best episode yet, for me at least, in terms of like some of the characters and just some, I don't know, some callbacks to some of the books that I appreciated. But you know, we get kind of a follow up to the reason to why Cleophas murdered. I always forget what the name of the other Iron Sister was that she murdered, but we get a little more backstory to that. Basically, when she finds out that Valentine is still alive, because I guess she thought Valentine was still dead, she kills that Iron Sister and then wants to come back and be a part of the circle again. Because we find out from Luke that apparently she was obsessed with Valentine. She was a really faithful follower and everything, and that really gave me it gave me a Voldemort and Bellatrix vibe, honestly. But yeah, that was a twist as well because I mean neither Luke's sister or mother was at least from what I remember, they weren't a big faithful follower of Valentine. Neither of them tried to join back when everyone found out he was still alive. So that was different. Basically, we get this whole plot with her and Luke. She said some pretty nasty stuff to Luke, in the past and everything. You know, before she decided she was going to stick by Valentine. You know, and then she injures herself, which I'm not entirely sure for what reason. I probably missed something. She goes back to Valentine, talking to him. Valentine's you're a coward. You just disappeared when you found out you thought I was dead. Then, I believe she was trying to trick, Valentine wanted her to find out if Clary was really gifted. Which in this episode we kept seeing Clary getting these noises in her head and everything, which we later find out is the angel ethereal that Valentine was keeping, which was definitely a callback to City of Glass, because we know in City of Glass we found out that Valentine was keeping that angel in the one building in Alicante. That one old building. I believe it was the building that he kept, where he raised Jace at when he was when he was disguising himself as Michael Wayland. I believe so, but I know that he was keeping an angel in the books, and it was the same here too. And so I kind of like that callback to the books. But yeah, we find out that it's that angel communicating with Clary. So Clary is gifted, along with being able to make runes, which is also similar to the books, because in the books Clary can create runes as well. And we also, well, like I said, we get this whole thing with Cleophas, she talks with Luke, and Luke is having a difficult time trusting her, which is to be expected. But then Clary keeps saying, you're not helping anything. And I just wanted to tell Clary to shut up. This is honestly the Clary from the books. I know that doesn't sound like a good thing, but Clary from the books made a lot of stupid decisions, a lot of rash and stupid decisions. And I mean, it makes sense because she's just a 16-year-old, but I mean, still, as a character, she made a lot of dumb decisions in the books. And this felt like book Clary. Because they're talking with Cleophas, and then she goes back with Luke, and she was like, oh, I knew she was lying because she called me Clarissa. No, Valentine calls me that. But then they go back, and then Clary was like, I know you believe in what you're doing, and so do I. Then she tases Luke, tases the shit out of him, and then takes Cleophas and goes, so it's fuck Clary. But then, we find out she has that thing again with her head, and, Cleophas puts on the hearing rune, or puts on the hearing rune so she can hear what Clary's hearing. And, that's when Clary finds out that it's an angel communicating with her, because she thinks it's Valentine screwing with her head, but it's really an angel. So that's when, Cleophas takes Clary back with her, but they're with Luke and Jace too. And Cleophas is like, yes, Clary is gifted to Valentine. But then, Luke pops up. He has his like gun. He has his like gun and everything, which is a little strange because that wasn't in the books. But whatever, it's just a small detail. But he has the blade to Cleophas's shoulder, threatening to kill her if Luke does anything. And and we get that Cleophas was going to help Valentine, but since they find out that he was holding an angel hostage, because an angel is like, obviously it's sacred to the Shadowhunters because an angel represents pure goodness, so just pure light, and everything like that. So if he's keeping an angel hostage, then he's definitely twisted in the head, and even some of his followers should know that's not even good there. Obviously not all of his followers, but someone like Cleophas, who was apparently a pretty faithful leader, knew. So yeah, we had that whole plot with Cleophas and Luke and Clary, and then them going to Valentine's, and with that whole angel and with the stuff inside Clary's head. We also had Isabel being a drug addict, I guess. Like she's addicted to this yin fang stuff. And I know this wasn't in the books at all. This is pretty much just a plot they've made up. So yeah, I mean, like we get like in the beginning, we get like she's desperately trying to look for more of the stuff, but she can't find any, so she's clearly desperate. And then we see her going to a drug dealer in like the hangout place with like the werewolves and the Shadowhunters and I guess the fairies, because there was like when we saw Jace in bed with this one woman, she had like the pointy ears, so I'm guessing she's a fairy. But yeah, like she was going to a drug dealer, and like Magnus goes over and whatever the dude's name was, like he's like, you're banned from North America. And so she's like, well, I'm just trying to, because Magnus can tell that she's lying for a second, and then she's like, well, I'm just tracking down the drug dealers that have stashes of yin fang. Basically, that's what she said. It's not exactly what she said, but that's basically what she said. So that's basically what's going on with Isabel. Like, I mean, she's getting addicted to this stuff. We had this funny scene with Isabel and Simon. Like, she's like, because Simon was going to, he was like, like in the beginning, he was dressing up, and he was like asking Clary if his shirt was wrinkled, and Clary saw his body, which was very reminiscent of the one scene from the first season when she sees Jace without a shirt on, and she's like, oh, and it was really cheesy in the first season. It was kind of cheesy here, but like we see Simon's like, oh, is there any wrinkles in my shirt? And Clary's like, no. And so we get a tease that there's something going to happen between them. But in the preview for the next episode, we see Simon and Maya kissing. So I don't know what's going to go on there. I don't know if there's going to be some type of love triangle or something. Hopefully not, because that doesn't happen in the books. But who knows? They might throw that in there. But yeah, we had Simon getting ready for a date with Maya, pretty much, even though it's more like a just friends thing. But yeah, we had that one really kind of funny scene where Isabel's like, well, you know what helps anxiety is Shadowhunter blood, and then Simon's like, oh, wait a minute, are you saying that I bite you or something? And then like Isabel's like, oh no, and everything. It was funny. So yeah, we had that whole thing with Simon and Maya this episode, which was kind of funny. And then Jace, well, I'll cover the Jace thing in a minute. We had this whole thing with Alec and Magnus this episode, where their relationship is finally looking to be stable a little bit, hopefully. But I'm sure there's going to be another something that gets into conflict with that relationship in the next few episodes. But they're really like getting like, I guess the relationship is getting more serious, and then like eventually like Alec wants to take the next step, which involves sex. So it's hinted, it's like there's a scene where Alec goes to Magnus's apartment, he's like getting all like I mean, he's getting really worked up, and Magnus is like, well, it's not that I'm not pleased or anything, but like, it's like because Alec hasn't done it before, and like Magnus says, I'm not the only one that's vulnerable and everything. So to be continued on that. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but it's implied that they got it on. So yeah, that was pretty much what was going on with Alec and Magnus, and Jace keeps getting in the way, or he got in the way a few times because he had I believe it was, like I said, I think it was a fairy in Magnus's apartment, and he was like trying to get it on with her in the bed, but then Alec came up and was like, "We got stuff to do," but then Jace didn't go. Which Jace, in this episode, it really felt like the Jace from the books. Am I the only one that felt like that? Like, because it really felt like, because Jace from the books is very much swaggering about. He's all the chicks, like a lot of the chicks are attracted to him and everything, and he's kind of arrogant, kind of vain. Those are kind of like the lesser qualities about him, and it felt more like Jace from the books, like, because this entire TV show, like, we get hints, we get like flashes and like hints and bits and pieces of like the Jace from the books, of him acting like the swaggering about Jace from the books, but we don't really get it entirely. But this episode felt more like Jace from the books, because he's hanging out with these chicks and everything, and he's trying to, which in the City of Glass he was trying to get it on with get it on or whatever. He was, because Clary walked in the books in City of Glass, she walked in on Jace. What was her name? The one that turned out to be a lesbian in the books. I forget her name. But yeah, like Clary walks in on that because he's trying to move on from Clary. But yeah, it just felt like more like Jace from the books. And we also we see Jace sees that Simon is nervous, and they kind of banter back and forth, and that, I love that, because like we get so much banter between Simon and Jace in the books, and it's glorious. The banter between Simon and Jace in the books is awesome. Like, it's entertaining shit. And we got this in the episode, and I was like, yes. Like, yes, this is the books. This is what Simon and Jace, they would be bantering back and forth in the books. At least this was what they would be doing. So Jace is trying to give Simon advice pretty much on how to get girls, which it's kind of cliche, but I mean, like, it was kind of funny, because it seems like the type of thing Jace in the books might do. But Simon was like, "Will you be my Obi-Wan?" and then Jace is like, "Who's Obi-Wan?" But and then like later Simon's like, "I'm trying to act like James Bond," and Jace is like, "Well, that's not James Bond." Like, and it's just the facial expressions they shared back and forth, and the banter was just funny to me. I don't know, I don't know. It really seemed like something that would go on in the books, so I really enjoyed that. That was definitely my favorite part of this episode, even though I thought there was a lot to like in this episode. But yeah, and then we see him trying to get Jace to act more, or trying to get Simon to act more like just kind of dark and mysterious and like kind of swaggery and everything. So he tries that on Maya, and Maya's like, "Nah," like she's not having that. And then finally, Maya realizes that he's in love with Clary, so he's like, "Well, why don't you just tell her?" And Simon's like, "Well, that's the same thing Luke said." And Maya's like, "Yeah, we werewolves, we kind of hear a lot, and we kind of have a thing for so." But so there was that. That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny stuff, enjoyable in this episode. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, we got that stuff with Isabel, with the Yin Fang. We got her at the end going to, I think it was a group of vampires, and so, because the Yin Fang is made out of vampire venom, so maybe she's looking to get some from them, or looking for one of them to bite her to get the same effect or something. I'm not sure. But so there's that. And we got some pretty interesting teases for next episode. So yeah, there was a lot going on in this episode. If you didn't see it, definitely see it, because you'll definitely need to catch up with this one. But overall, not a bad episode at all. This is probably one of my favorites yet in this season. Yeah, like I said, I can't stress enough how much I enjoyed the banter between Jace and Simon in that one scene in this episode. That just really feels like something Book Simon and Book Jace would do with each other, so that was really cool. The Clary, Luke, and Cleophas stuff was pretty good. Stuff with Valentine is pretty good. The actor who plays Valentine is always good. I like the chemistry with Simon and Clary, because they actually, the actors really feel like they're like best friends and everything, so that's good. The chemistry between most of the actors is good in general. But yeah, not a bad episode. Pretty good episode, I'd say. And yeah, so this has been the review for episode 7, and I'll be back next week with the review for episode 8 of Shadowhunters Season 2. So that's it for this one, and peace.